Hey, welcome to another exciting episode of the Real Deal Podcast. Women's History Month series continues. I have another great guest, so let's get it. All right. Once again, welcome to another great episode of the Real Deal Podcast, Women's History Month series. I'm your host, as always, Courtney Harding. Glad to be back. Happy Tuesday, March 18th. March Madness is right around the corner, so looking forward to that. So everyone, make sure you get your brackets in, please. Get your brackets in at noon Eastern time on Thursday the 20th. Again, noon Eastern time on the 20th, Thursday. Get those brackets in. Try to win some money. Gamble responsibly, as we say. So, but I'm your host, always, Courtney Hart. As I said, you can follow the show on all podcast platforms, whether it's Spotify, Apple. We're on bs3tvlive.com, BS3 TV Network, on Roku channel as well. And you can follow the show on all the social media platforms too. That's YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, X, Facebook, and TikTok, and I'm on Blue Sky too, so trying to get into that. And I do like Blue Sky, so trying to get myself into that, away from Twitter a little bit. But but I have a great guest on the show, and so I'm going to bring her in. Erica Renee Davis, NASCAR betting analyst, also Fox Sports, motorsports, and she's a little everything, host, journalist, all those things. So Erica, welcome to the show. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me. I have to say, though, I like the reminder about making sure you get your brackets in Thursday morning at whatever time, because let me tell you, I am always that guy who is waiting until the very last minute to get my bracket done. And then I'm the person who likes to do every bracket, CBS,
Me too.
ESPN, right?
Yes.
So here I am scrambling at the 11th hour trying to do a million brackets. So be smart like Courtney. Take his advice. Get them in on time and early if you can.
Get them early if you can. I'm the same way. I say that because I know I wait till I wait till Thursday morning, and then I'll spend an hour just trying to get all my brackets into different ones too. But I make sure that it's before 12 o'clock, so I don't have to worry about it anymore. So yes, I get them Thursday about 9-ish. I've been doing that over the last few years just to make sure I get those in before noon, and then I just let it go. And I write down all the ones that I do, like say ESPN, CBS, some other ones too, Bleacher Report, and all the other ones too. So yeah, I'm with you on that. But welcome to the show, though. Like I said, I really appreciate it. I reached out to you, and you said yes. Let's set it up. So again, thank you for coming on. Really appreciate it.
Let's do it. I've always been knee deep into the sports world. People often ask me, "How did you get into sports? How did you get into sports?" And I tell folks, I mean, my daddy, I was a tomboy. I still consider myself to be a tomboy. But you couldn't tell my daddy that I was not his little boy. So I was at every sporting event, baseball, basketball, football, anything that our small town was having. Like, I was tagging along with my daddy. And I think that became the entry point to my love for sports. And went to the University of Georgia. Go Dogs! Sick of my. I'm sure you're seeing all the red and black.
Yeah, I see the red and black. Yeah, representing. Yes,
Bulldog. But went to University of Georgia, and how can you not love sports when you go to Georgia?
That's true.
So continued on there, and there's a lot that happened between UGA and my move to LA and where I am now, but officially, or I guess just to be frank, I've just always been a sports girly and have loved covering it, love the game, love the strategy, love the storylines, and now work in sports betting and have for several years now. And I also love that part of the industry as well. So, yeah.
All right. Well, I love that. And I always enjoy everyone's journey because it's all different. You said you started, your dad, and that's where you got the love from, and you could continue to pursue that. Let's talk about, like you said, when from University of Georgia to where you are today, that process of getting into, sports betting, and we'll get into all the nuances of sports betting. What do you enjoy more? Do you enjoy the reporting? Do you enjoy the storytelling?
Oh, okay. So I think my two favorite things about covering sports would be the storytelling.
Yep.
So the human interest elements of it, the how, why someone got to where they are, the
Right.
obstacles, the triumphs. Because I think even for people who are not diehard sports fans, what draws the casuals in is the storylines. I might not
Yeah.
know a fourth down from a first down or a 3-pointer from a free throw, but if I know what that person had to do to get to the highest level, then I'm locked in. I'm interested. So
Yeah.
storylines A. And then B, I do love the sports betting side of sports. And one of the reasons I love sports betting angles is because sports betting tells a story in itself.
Yeah.
For you to understand how the game could go, how the game might unfold, for you to understand some historical precedents that you might not be able to get otherwise. The odds, we like to say in sports betting,
Mhm.
oftentimes tell the story. And then I also like sports betting angles to the game, because you can learn a lot about sports that you might not be usually very invested in by just looking at the odds and looking at the betting storylines. I'll be completely honest. I do like hockey. I respect it, but I don't watch it as much as I watch college football, NFL, baseball, obviously
Yeah.
NASCAR, motorsports. But if I can follow some of the betting trends for, the Stanley Cup final, for example, that gets me interested. That teaches me something I might not know otherwise. So those
Mm.
are the two things that really keep me locked in and loving what I do.
Okay, yeah, I like that, because you're right. I think the storytelling is always important, because you said we can watch a sporting event, whatever the sport is, college football, basketball, and the X's and O's and all those things. But when we get dig into that storyline of that athlete, profile piece, whatever it is, I think that's something they like beyond the court, beyond the field. I think
Yeah.
that's always important. Even like when I do my research, like for the podcast, I try to find something, a nugget or something that you've done outside of what you do, for your profession. So yeah, I do enjoy the storytelling of all of it, because I think it's important, because it's the human element of who they are.
Yeah. And I do want to, take an aside. I know sometimes during the NFL draft, especially if
Mm,
you get on Twitter or, whatever social media platform you're on, but especially Twitter, because that's where we have, I think, the most, I guess, long-winded, comprehensive kinds of discourse
right.
around these kinds of events. But I hear people calling athletes' stories tragedy porn. Like that,
Mm,
like there is a complex that oftentimes journalists or media platforms have to elevate the tragedy in these players' lives. And
yeah.
so when I talk about storylines, I'm not particularly, saying let's lean into all the tragedy that a player has had
Right. Right.
in his or her life, because there's
Mm,
some players who have not, who've not had those
yeah.
tragic or, less than ideal circumstances. And those storylines are equally important to draw
Hmm.
people in. Those
Hmm.
storylines are also important to tell and to elevate. So just want to throw that out there, because
Yeah, no, I think that's important. That's very important. Yes, you're right. You're right. It's like when the NFL draft it does, and they have that's not usually on ABC. That side, they tap into that storytelling and that storyline. Like for instance, like my mom, she would say, "Well, I want to watch it on this platform." ESPN, that's sometimes for us, the diehard. They want the X's and O's.
yeah,
My mom might say, "Oh man, this person, they've had kids, or they've had this and that," but it's not always a tragedy. It's something
right.
we like to hear, those feel good stories too, and
Yes.
that's what makes the athlete, the person who they really are. Their background with their parents, how they used to play in the backyard or something like that.
Right.
The love of that. I like that, but I like both of those sides. Yes, I love
Yeah.
that. Like me and you, we love to dig into the numbers and things like that, and the scouting reports and stuff. But also the other side is the humanization side of it too.
Yeah.
For sure, for sure. All right, well, let's get into what you do today:
Yeah.
sports betting and motorsports. Where did the love of motorsports come from?
Okay, so I'm from a really small town called Waycross, Georgia. Have you heard of
Mm.
Waycross before?
No, wait. I may have. If I can remember, I may. Where's it? Where is it near? That's the
So
like
my
closest to.
hometown is 30 minutes from the Florida border.
Oh, okay, okay.
So
I don't know if I heard of Waycross, but go ahead. I
But
was
so
trying to
yeah,
think. Yeah,
so a
yeah.
really small town called called Waycross in South Georgia, and I absolutely adore, love, appreciate how I grew up. But very small town. I always tell people Waycross has two Walmarts, one high school. So just
Okay.
imagine everybody kind of
Yeah,
knows
everybody
everyone,
knows everybody. Yes, yes.
right? We got a lot of gas stations and a lot of churches too.
Yeah,
Uh,
right, right. Gas stations
but
and churches. Yes.
so growing up like that,
Yeah.
that's NASCAR country. I grew up,
Mhm.
listening and loving and watching Earnhardt and Petty. And so
Yeah.
that was just a part of the fabric of small town South Georgia, especially like in the 90s. And I started covering motorsports as a journalist about 3.5 years ago for a
Okay.
sports book called Fox Bet. And Fox Bet no longer exists,
Mm.
but Fox Bet is a part or was a part of the Flutter Inc. Entertainment family or Flutter Entertainment family, which owns FanDuel. And I used to be the social presence when we were, doing our contest, or someone won one of our contests, and I would interview them. But a part of my job was to talk about our NASCAR contest
Yeah.
and also to write about them and to interview some of the NASCAR personalities that you see today. So the Clint Boyers of the world, the Mike Joys, like the Caitlin Vincies, I would interview them
Mm.
for our pieces. But fast forward to 2024, I started covering NASCAR for NASCAR Digital Media as the on-air betting analyst. And so I would say just having grown up in as a part of a community that really, race car driving was an integral part of my hometown's
Yeah, yeah.
personality.
Right.
And so it kind of just came second nature. Now obviously, like as a journalist, there's still some things I had to learn about the sport that I didn't just know firsthand from growing up in it,
Right.
but those things kind of came naturally because it was just in my bones, just in my bones.
Just in the bones. I mean, you like you said, your love for that, your love for motorsports, and now sports betting. It just connected. It seems like it just went hand in hand.
It did, and I
Yeah.
tell people all the time that motorsports I know can, I don't know, I don't say seem intimidating. It can seem monotonous. Like if you
Mm.
don't know NASCAR, if you aren't familiar with it, if all you're looking at is just culturally what we have known NASCAR to have been in the past, then I could see how you might be like, "Oh, that's
Right.
not for me."
Yeah.
But I cannot overstate how exciting of a sport NASCAR is.
Hmm.
Storylines, for one, there's so many incredible storylines that will keep you locked in. Drivers who are trying to get their first win, drivers who need to get a win because they're going through a dry spell, like a Kyle Busch. Um,
Mm.
Drivers, who are super popular, but nobody figures out, nobody knows why. And then
Yeah.
then you get to think about the actual tracks. Every track or different tracks have different kind of surfaces. They have different
Mm.
bankings. They have different turns. Some tracks are considered short tracks. Some tracks are shaped as in ovals. Some tracks are street courses, road courses, and every different track requires a different strategy.
Mm.
And when you have a better sense of all the nuances that go into making NASCAR the sport that it is, then you have a different appreciation for it. So
Okay.
I want people to get excited about it because it's an exciting sport.
Yeah, I mean that's it's interesting because you said there's said different tracks, different drivers. That some drivers are probably better on this surface than the other surface, and things like that. The turns and it's interesting. You got to put all that in perspective, even when you're watching, just as an observer or fan, to make it exciting for you. Now on the betting side too, as we know, because I do a lot of betting myself. I don't bet NASCAR, but or motorsports, but I know how it is when you got to do the research of something like that. I bet a lot of golf now lately. I've been betting a lot of golf for the last couple of years, and I had to learn. Okay, this this player is this golfer is better on these types of surfaces. This golfer is better on this type of surface. This golfer is better when it's in the rain, he scrambles and stuff like that. So you
Mhm.
explaining that is like how they might drive better in inclement weather. So
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
those are those tips that I think some better sports bettors don't put into place when they are putting their bets and things like that.
Yeah, and I think, and for sports bettors who do the research, they have
Yeah.
a leg up because they know that you have
Hmm.
to sometimes consider the weather or the
Yeah.
location. But then casual fans who might just want to place a $5 bet are going to look towards somebody like me who's going to do that research for you.
For them. Yeah. Yeah.
Because a lot of people who watch my content are not the diehard sports bettors, which is
Mm.
totally fine because I like to represent myself and brand myself as the sports analyst, sports personality, content creator who you can turn to, who's not going to intimidate you when it comes to explaining
Right.
what you need to know. So let me do the research for you. Let me tell you, where to spend your $2, your $5, your $10 for the weekend without you having to like bear that heavy burden. I want you to take the knowledge I've given you and then enjoy, like apply it, watch the race, watch the event, watch whatever
Yeah.
it is that, I'm telling you to bet on, and enjoy it and feel like you walked away having learned something. That's what I like for people who watch me to do.
I like that. Yes, you're learning something, but have fun with it too, because
Yeah.
if you're in it try to win a lot of money, I've had a lot of I've talked to a lot of sports bettors, analysts, and things like that, and it's like yeah, you want to hit big, you might and you might not, but come to find out, you're going to lose more than you're going to win. That's just it.
That is, and that's something that's very, very important.
Hmm.
Some people, we call them sharps, professional sports bettors,
Yes.
who do this. They do this for a living, so they're betting not just one or two, spots every weekend. They're betting so many, like different spots, different markets, different sports
Right.
every single day. This is what they do. So if you're trying to live up to that or emulate that, like you can't. Like as a
No.
casual fan, as a casual bettor, you can't. And so that's why I always really try to tell people, do not bet a lot of money. Like
Yes.
just don't do it. You
Yep.
cannot keep up with the Joneses when it comes to trying to do what the sharps do, A, and then trying to beat the sports book, B.
Hmm.
You got to be doing it to have fun, maybe have bragging rights, learn a little bit more that you might not have known before, keep you invested in a particular sporting event that you might not have been invested in, give you something like educated to talk about when you're at a party or at a bar or whatever. But yeah, like keep it light.
Keep
Keep
it
it light.
light. Yeah, keep it light. Bet responsibly. Yes, bet very
Yeah.
responsibly. Don't bet above your means, because
Yes.
I know it's hard. You start getting on a win streak, you might hit a hot streak, and then it's like, oh, I can keep going. No, just bet in within your means. That's the
Yes.
one thing you
Yeah.
should do. Talk about the popularity of sports betting, like how much it has grown just over the past, we'll say, 5 years or so.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Sports betting has grown. I would say the last 5 years we've seen a boom, and a lot of that boom
Yeah,
is because we are seeing more and more states legalize sports
yeah,
betting.
it's true.
I think we're about up to 40 now, and obviously the more states, the more visibility. The more visibility means the more commercials, the more promotions.
Yeah.
And there's a company that I used to actually write for called Gaming Today that follows the business of sports betting and can tell you, like we
Mhm.
would tell you, and they still do, the writers there will tell you how much every state is reporting in handle and in et cetera every single month. And it's interesting to see the
Yeah.
billions sometimes that people, sports bettors and fans are spending in states. I mean, I think it's an interesting space to be in. I think it can
Yeah.
be a slippery slope, but
Mm,
I
mhm.
like that people like me and, other creators are trying to talk about being educated, being informed. But yeah, it's a booming business now
Yeah,
because
yeah.
let me tell you, I would say maybe 2012, I was working for Kevin Pollak. He had a show called This Week in Football, and I was one of the hosts. I was the host and helped produce it as well. And Courtney would have a bookie call in, and I
Okay.
never, yeah, we had a bookie call in. I never
Yeah.
met him, don't know his name. It was very, I won't say shady. It was very, it was maybe not so legal.
Yeah, yeah. Interesting, right?
It was very interesting.
Interesting.
But that was 2012, and that was my first job as a sports betting host.
Mm,
And again, we were kind of pushing the envelope then, 13
yeah.
years ago. Fast forward 2025, it's everywhere. So
Yeah.
just in the span of 10, 11, 12 years, it has changed so much. There's a lot of money to be made. Obviously, if you're a sports
Yeah.
book operator, so that's a FanDuel, a DraftKings, a Caesars, a BetMGM. I'm only breaking this down for people who don't, know the
Yeah, for
terminology.
sure.
There's a lot of money to be made if you're sports books, if you're an odds maker. There's a lot of money to be lost if you're not a savvy bettor who's responsible. There's a
Mhm.
lot of money to be won if you are a savvy bettor who is responsible. But yeah, it's a booming business and it's a very interesting space to be a part of.
It is a very interesting space, and just over, like you said, over 5 years, even 10 years. You said you talk about from 2012 even till today. It has grown, and there's so much content. There's so much ways to bet. There's different, like I said, FanDuels, the DraftKings, BetMGM. There's a lot of different ways to bet, and then the social media aspect of it too. Like I said, content creators and analysts, and
Mhm.
you have, there's just so much access now. You go
Access.
you go you go to you go to a casino sports book here, there's in everywhere. We have a couple of sports books here in Philly. There's yeah, a few. There's FanDuel and definitely, but there's a few here, and we have the ESPN bets. There's just so many
Yeah.
different things and different ways that people can bet. And now you have they said online betting.
Yeah.
That's changed over the years. So yeah, it's a
That
boom.
that that has changed the game, and to have
Mhm.
like to literally have you can like bet at your
Yes,
fingertips.
yes. Mhm.
It used to be you had to physically take your butt to Las Vegas, to
Yeah.
bet at a book in person, and
Hmm.
that having the apps be available and legal completely changed the game.
Yes.
And
Mhm.
I do understand, like, in a social media driven world, how getting that hit of dopamine when scroll and click, whether you're on Facebook or Twitter and somebody likes your post, that's the same kind of dopamine hit you get when you're like
Right.
spending your money on a sports book.
Mhm.
So it's it draws you in. Like the commercials, the
Oh, yeah.
celebrities who
Mhm.
represent the different sports books, the LeBrons, the Jamie Foxxes, Kevin
Yes.
Hart's.
Yeah, yep.
It's a completely different world now that we're living in.
Yeah, it's like fantasy sports. If you're into that, that was I've been fantasy football and basketball. I've been playing, well, a lot of it in baseball all day. I've been playing fantasy sports for years, still do to this day, and even that's changed over the years because of, like you said, it's there's more shows, there's more content. There's just so much access to that. And then that was my next question, like some of your favorite and least favorite things about sports betting. I'm sure the favorite is like some of the access now, but what
Yeah.
are some of your other favorites and least favorite things about sports betting?
So one of my favorite things, as you said, is the access. Because again, you don't have to be in Vegas. You don't have to
Hmm.
make a pilgrimage to the
Yeah.
the great state of Nevada to place a sports bet on March
Yeah.
Madness. I can do it from the comfort of my own home on my own sofa. I
Yes.
love that.
Mhm.
I love the ability to learn more about different
Okay.
sports. And
Yeah.
I kind of, talked about that earlier. But honestly, if I'm not full transparency, I don't get as invested in MLB until after the All-Star break, so July, August. I mean, obviously I know what's going on,
Yeah.
but there's
Yeah.
so many games. Every team's playing 160 plus games. So many different players to keep up with. It's really,
Mhm.
really hard. I can kind of watch the Dodgers and lock in on them and the Braves. I'm from Georgia,
Yeah.
and the
Yeah.
Angels, the other LA team. But outside of that, outside of like the Aaron Judges and the Yankees and the Mets and like other big names, it's hard to keep up. So if
Yeah.
I am placing some bets and trying to figure out the betting trends so that I can place an informed bet, that helps me. So I do like how you can become more educated once you start following the betting trends on a sport
Yeah.
that you might not be as locked into. I like the social aspect of it, like fantasy sports. I used to be on a fantasy football team. I keep trying to bug my commissioner to start our team again. But
Yeah.
like fantasy sports, like you can bet your friends. You can
Yeah.
have your bragging rights when you'll say, I'm gonna, bet on, hypothetically, I'm gonna bet on Houston to cover the spread. It's a double
Right.
digit spread on Friday or Thursday, and my friend might be like, oh, I don't think the Cougars are gonna cover. It gives you an opportunity to have betting rights. So friendly banter. I love
Yeah.
all those things about it. What do I not like about it? Um, I want there to be more people like me being
Mhm.
vocal about being informed.
Yeah.
And I want there to be easier access to the information. And some sports books do this, definitely. And I definitely applaud the ones who give you the 1-800-GAMBLER number. I definitely applaud the ones, who break down the how to bets, which I really, really appreciate that.
Yeah.
But if you look at every weekend, I do a 4 fun picks or 4 fun bets for the weekend. If you don't know what a cover is, or you don't know, I don't know, what the money line is.
Yeah.
If you don't
Over
know,
under and things
the
like
over
that. Yeah.
under,
Yeah.
like you might, like what I'm saying, you might like my cadence and my personality, but if you don't know what those things mean inherently, then is it really helpful to you? So I want there to be more people presenting content that helps casual bettors learn more about what they're doing. And, of course, I want there to be, more women in the space who are doing that, because,
Yeah.
women spend money. Like, we spend the money in the household. So if
Right.
you sell something to a woman and she likes it, she's going to spend the money, and she's going to tell her friends, and they're going to spend the money.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's something else I would like to see more of.
I like that. No, I'd like that. The education of it is important, especially for someone that wants to get into it. And you said you want to have someone like yourself. You say, hey, I can educate the casual fan or someone that wants to, do some sports betting or getting to this business, and to teach them, okay, this is what a money line is. He said, this is what over under is. This is what cover is. And I think that would be, they should have like classes or some type of seminar or something that can help. That can help others that won't. And you'd be like, okay, I'm not going to spend this much money. Maybe I'll hold off and say, oh, I'll just wait till you say college football, the championship comes or something like that. And to learn, I think it's always good to learn.
Yeah.
And especially in this space.
Yeah, absolutely. Sure. Absolutely.
For sure. All right, just got a couple more. I'm loving this conversation. It's like I said, you're educating them and getting to know you a little bit too. So you were part of the FSGA Winter Conference panel. Yeah. Talk about that, the honor, and talk about that, and just being on that type of panel.
Yeah, honestly, I cannot overstate exactly how honored, as you said, I was to have been considered and selected to sit on the panel. There were just the heavy hitters of the betting world, the fantasy sports world. Matthew Berry's of the world were there. Ryan Spoon from Yahoo Sports was there. Yeah. I could go on and on and on. The panel that I spoke on was shocking, the responsible gaming, and gambling panel with Pam Maldonado from ESPN and Raheem Palmer, who's Spotify FanDuel personality. And our panel was honestly, we were lit. Like we
shout out to Pam Maldonado. I've had her on the show a couple times, so shout out to her for sure.
We were lit. Our personalities and the way that we each see things so differently. Raheem Palmer is a professional sports bettor.
Yeah,
he'll tell you himself he's made lots of money. I think he has said he's made 7 figures, betting, and has also lost 7 figures betting.
Right.
And Pam was a professional poker player.
Yes. Yep.
And then me, like, I'm the poster child for responsible gaming, responsible gambling. Our personalities, it was just the best conversation. It was very lively. It was authentic. It was informative. But yes, being a part of that conference and being able to speak to what I do on a daily basis with the passion that I have, I could not have asked for a better way to kick off the busy sports season. It was incredible.
I saw that. I was like, oh my goodness. Yeah, that was a good panel. To see that who you're a part of, and just discussing the, you say responsibly. We have to keep saying that. You have to. And but that was a great, it seemed like a great panel to be a part of in that conference in itself.
Right. And Vegas is always a good time.
Yes, it is.
Like, you tell me, let's go to Vegas, I'm ready to go.
You're ready to go.
And for folks out there who've never been to Vegas, book you a trip now. Yes. I mean, you can have a lot of fun in 2 days. You can have too much fun in 4 or 5 days.
Oh yes, yes, you can. I've been to Vegas quite a few times. I went one year. I went. Me and my wife and her parents went, and we went for 7 days. Now this is the first. I think it's the
Ooh.
first time going. That's too long. Yes. Now I know. We know. And her parents were like, we can leave. We were like, oh no, we got it. This is our first time. I want to stay here. But by the fourth day, we were like, we probably should have just left or whatever. So now when we go to Vegas, it's no longer than 3 days or maybe 4 at the most.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe 4. But more than 4 days, nah, you're ready to go.
If you're in Vegas for 4 days, 5 days, you need to go ahead and call your primary care physician and tell them to have the liquid IV and the intravenous fluids for you in your hospital bed ready, because you will be on your last leg.
Yes, you're wiped out after that. God, wow. Yeah. So no more 7-day trips to Vegas. 3-4 days is just enough. You'll be good with 2 days for sure.
Right.
When it comes to Vegas. Yes, I agree. 100% agree. All right, just got a couple more for you. What's your day-to-day like? Is it I'm sure it's busy and different each week, but what's a typical day-to-day for Erica Renee Davis?
Okay. So I start my day super early during the week, during the work days, during the weekdays rather, because even the weekends sometimes are work days in sports. As you know, sports like news never stops.
Yeah, it never stops. Yes.
Open my computer up around maybe 6:15, 6:30, because even though I cover motorsports, I also cover the entire spectrum of sports as a writer and as an editor for Fox Sports. So right now, for example, we're in the middle of March Madness. So I'm juggling starting at 6:30 in the morning, doing content, writing content on college basketball odds, college basketball futures. For those of you who are listening who are not familiar with the term futures are a betting market that that means that you can wager on something that's going to happen in the distant future. It could be, a month from now. It could be a few weeks from now. But so working on college basketball betting futures, working on game lines, working on, so that's college basketball, obviously. Then it's motorsports season, IndyCar season. We're in the middle of IndyCar season. There's a race that's going to be on Fox this weekend in Thermal, California. So working on those odds files, also working on all things NASCAR. NASCAR goes to Homestead, Miami this weekend for the Straight Talk Wireless 400. So literally it just starts with 6:15, 6:30, everything from college basketball to motorsports. And then NFL draft is a month away.
Yes.
And so working on and covering, Cam Ward. Right now, Cam Ward is the heavy odds-on favorite to be selected number 1. And then Abdul Carter is, right now he's the second favorite in that number 1 draft pick spot. So watching those odds move over the past week, Cam Ward's odds to be number 1 have gotten so short. So watching that storyline as well. UFL, spring football. If you're into spring football, we got spring football that starts again this weekend as well. So it really just comes down to writing, editing, the entire spectrum of everything that, we cover, and also working with our talent. So when I say our talent at Fox Sports, the Jason McIntyres, the Sammy P's, the Jeff Schwartzes, Patrick Everson, each of them turns in, X amount of articles every week. And then we work with them to make sure we can elevate their stories and elevate their voices.
Yeah.
And then, some days I am actually filming, just for the Super Bowl, for example. Fox 11, our local affiliate in Los Angeles, had me come in to the studio and talk about 5 fun ways to bet on the Super Bowl. So we talked about some of the Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift props, talked about who I thought would be the first player to score a touchdown. So on filming days, I have to somehow manage my my work, and then, take off my, my sweatpants and take a shower, do hair and makeup, and then drive to the studio if I have to film in studio. Some days when I'm not filming in studio, I film at my house. You might recognize this backdrop from my 5 or my 4 fun bets that I typically do on the weekends, where I do cover college basketball bets, NBA bets. So that comes with its own separate side of research that I might not have already done during the week. No, I'm saying a lot, but it's a lot.
It's good. I love it. Yeah. Listeners love this stuff. They love the behind the scenes. So yeah. Yeah, so much good stuff. I mean, like you said, you just editing, writing, filming, recording,
Yep.
traveling sometimes. Yeah, okay.
Traveling sometime. This week hasn't this year yet has not been as busy of a travel year
Okay.
as last year was, but the night is young. It's only what,
Yeah,
March 17th, March 18th.
March, yes.
Yeah. But and honestly, the traveling can be a lot, but I don't mind it. I actually do look forward to it. It just gives me like a it's work when I'm traveling, whether I'm going to a track for NASCAR or, traveling for a conference or traveling to New York for meetings. It's work,
Yeah.
but it's fun work. And I know people say if you're doing something that you love, you're not working, but it's the truth. Like if you're doing something that you really, really, really love, it's not really work. So
no, I love that. I love the behind the scenes, but pull back the curtain. And you're right. If it's something you love to do, and I know that's old saying, something you love to do is not work, but you're working, but you love to do it. It's
but I love
something
to do it.
You'll enjoy it. Yeah.
And I can say, and this is going to sound, like such a first world problem, but the thing that I would say that I like the least about my busyness or my busy days or my busy life is doing my hair and makeup. Like, I mean, listen, I'm a hair and makeup girl. I do love it, but just the idea of knowing that I got to put makeup on and do my hair, and then I got to take it all off and then do it again the next day. I'm just like, okay, am I mentally ready to do this all again the next day? That's the only thing. And I know it sounds crazy because again, I love my hair, I love my makeup, I love getting dressed. Like,
yeah, dress. Yeah,
I
for
love
sure.
how I feel when I'm dressed, but I also despise the whole act of having to break it all down.
Yeah, like, I don't want to do with that, but I know I gotta do it. So and everything. So like you said, I guess that's a small part of just you said once you feel good, you look good, you feel good, and you put great content out. So I guess that's it. So for sure. All right, last question. And so this is Women's History Month, and I wanted to highlight you on with the incredible women I've already had on the show and more upcoming. So I loved having you part of this series that I've been doing over the years. What does Women's History Month mean to you on a professional and personal level?
Oh, a lot. Women's History Month to me it's a time to reflect on the trailblazers who've come before me.
Yeah.
It's a time to pay respect to the women that I admire. One in particular comes to mind when I think of Women's History Month. When I think of a trailblazer, I think about Jemele Hill. And I've been a fan of her since I was a teenager,
Yep, me too.
and right.
Yes.
And I've got an opportunity recently to work with her as a panelist, a contributor on her show Above the Fold, and just seeing her in person and working with her on her show was such a pivotal moment for me because I have admired her as a woman, as a woman, and me as a woman. I've admired her so much for what she's done for women in sports. So Women's History Month is a time to pay that respect, to reflect, to honor those ones who have literally helped pave the way. So that's what it means for me professionally. And then personally, I'm taking this time, as I do usually, but really trying to focus this month on making sure I'm getting my stuff in order. I think it's so easy to be busy, to be running from point A to point B, but I'm making sure that I'm taking the time and making the mental space to go through my to-do list and check in with Erica and to see what does Erica need, and not just when it comes to sports, but what does Erica need when it comes to personal growth? Does that mean a day at the spa? Does it mean some girlfriend time, with my homegirls? Does it mean vegging out on the sofa and doing nothing? Does it mean taking an extra day to do my bracket that I normally wouldn't have taken?
Yes.
It means like Women's History Month to me on a personal level means taking a second to do what this woman needs to do to reset, to continue to have a successful, productive year.
I love that. I mean, I always ask. I'm asking all the women I'm having on the show that question. That's the last question I always ask, and I love hearing the answers. And as you said, you guys are pushing pushing doors down, opening doors for others, pushing doors down, breaking doors down, I should say, because you said women's sports and women in all aspects of business and sports and media, content creation, whatever it is. You just continue to keep elevating and pushing, like I said, pushing down those doors and those barriers that has been held back, that held you guys back for so long. But now it's, you guys are here, been here, doing your thing, from CEOs to say content creators and owning your own businesses and things like that. So I just want to be a small part of just sharing your stories and things like that. So I really enjoyed having you on the show, Erica. Thank you again for doing this. Really appreciate it. And before last question I want to ask you is like, who are you looking into for March Madness for on both sides, for the men's and the women's? Like who are some of the teams that you are looking for? I don't know if you did your bracket yet. I haven't done mine yet either, but yes, but all the things you've seen, who do you like for this the tournaments?
Okay, so on the men's side, here's a team that I'm watching. I'm not saying I'm betting on them, but a team that I'm watching are my Bulldogs. You know, my dogs are not known. We're not known to be a basketball school. We had a you can look this up. We went off track back in the early 2000s when we had a huge basketball scandal. Again, you can look it up. I don't want to talk about it here.
No, don't want to talk about it, right?
that derailed our program for decades, literally 2 decades. And so now we are, with our new coach, Mike White, and new culture, and having had players like Anthony Edwards come through our program in recent years, we are starting to rebuild. So we got, I think we're the 9th seed, and we played Thursday, Gonzaga. So a team to watch are my Bulldogs. That's just a wishful thinking, but a team, real team to watch, I would say Florida. Auburn. On the men's side, obviously, Florida, Auburn. I don't know what Duke's going to do without Flag. I mean, but you still got to watch them. But yeah, Florida, Auburn. Look at all these SEC teams I'm talking about.
I mean, they just had a record.
I'm an SEC homer. What can I say?
Right. They just had all the record. They had a record. What was it? 15, I think. 15
We got
teams?
A ton of teams in it. 14, something crazy.
14, 15. Yeah.
And so on the women's side, I mean, I got to ride my girl Dawn Staley. Come on.
SEC again. Yes.
SEC.
Yes,
SEC.
For sure.
But I love me some UConn. Love me some UConn. So if it's not the Gamecocks with Dawn and crew or UConn, I don't want it.
Yeah. Right. No, I love it. Just had to ask you that before, because it is March Madness too. So gotta put that question in there too. So all right. Well, Erica, for sure. Thank you again. Really appreciate the time, and thank you for Women's History Month for being featured on this as well. But let everyone know where they can follow you, follow your content, social media, and everything.
Follow me on Instagram, mostly at Erica Renee D. I'm also on Twitter or X at Erica Renee D. Although I have to be honest, I have not been very active on Twitter as of late. But Instagram at Erica Renee D. I typically do toward the weekend on Fridays or Saturdays. I do what I like to call 4 fun picks for the weekend. Sometimes it's not 4, sometimes it might be 2, but typically it's 4 fun picks for the weekend. And it's everything from, like I said, NBA, college basketball, when football season rolls around, when the NFL draft season rolls around, I'll throw some NFL draft stuff in there. I might even do some UFL spring football stuff in there as well. So follow me on Instagram to get those picks. And then also, I'm a pretty good time in my Instagram story. So make sure you follow me at Erica Renee D to catch that.
Follow Erica on all the Instagram mostly, but on those social media platforms, and follow her pics, things like that, and the content, like, subscribe, all those things too. So again, thank you, Erica, for the time. Really appreciate it, and best of luck with your brackets and everything you got going on for the rest of the year too as well.
Thank you so much for having me on. I love what you're doing. Keep it up. We're cheering for you, and
thank you
for the good work.
All right. Thank you. All right. Well, everyone follow the show, and this video will be up by at least tomorrow. Continue to follow the show and support. Really, really appreciate it. Until next time, everyone be safe. God bless. Peace.